like some cards made up that you would carry around with you. And if you asked someone to take a picture of them and they said yes, that you could like, I don't know, give them somehow take down their email address and send it to them to where it would be more inviting to take a picture of them.
That'd be a good way to do it. And yeah, be a real good way to do it.
But Mike, what I've done in the past is I have these personalized, homemade on one of those templates for those things where you can snap the cards off. I can't remember the name of it's the company that makes all the different forms.
Oh, Avery.
Avery, yeah.
Yes, Avery makes those. And I tried a few times. I said, look, here's my email. I'm not going to ask you for yours because you may be hesitant to give it to me. But if you'll email me and ask for a copy of the photo I just took, then I'll have your email address to send it back. So in other words, the ball is completely in their court.
Yep.
That's a
I've
good
done that
idea.
with my business cards.
I thought of a couple times going to like a park, and kids are always easy to take pictures of because I mean they're more interesting, at least in my opinion. But I don't want to be out there looking like a creeper as I'm taking pictures of people's kids.
Yeah, you got to really be worried about that. People come flying across the park at you.
Yeah.
Well, Lenore has joined us, but she's all muted up.
I had an incident on Saturday where I was mountain biking and another mountain biker had a pretty severe accident. I was the second person to come along. And so I helped out for about 20 minutes or so, getting the EMS people in and talking with the people at 9/11 and that. And after a while, I gained about 12 or 13 people around there. And the situation was getting, resolved. And I had started out the day, I was gonna try and get some action shots of some people, doing some aerial stunts off of jumps and things. And so I had my camera with me, and I said, I hope you people don't think I'm too insensitive, but I'd like to shoot a few shots. And I thought I was going to be lynched, actually.
Really?
The people were very, very hostile. Okay. So
Did they know why they were hostile?
I don't know, but I bet you every one of them, they seem to be self-righteous. I thought, well, how many times have they watched what's his name?
Evel Knievel?
No, I'm thinking of the the officer that had his knee on the neck of
Oh, yeah.
George
Foreman.
George
yeah,
Floyd.
they probably have seen that who knows how many times on TV, and I just wanted to get a shot of the group, and nobody asked me why or anything, and I thought, well, okay, I made a big mistake, so I hopped on my bike and took off. Karma, maybe this may be karma, because an hour later I was in emergency and over here at Ascension Hospital for about 4 hours.
Oh.
So I got my confidence, I guess.
You're okay now, though, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm pretty sore, but the people just instantly just jumped on me. I mean, it was like I did manage before I made an announcement that I would like to do that. I sneaked off a shot. I was back away, so I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up and see what.
Was it related to the accident of the person that you saw? You know, you figured that, you know, why risk their lives doing some acrobat?
No, I don't know. I just like to take pictures of things I see, you know, and that was something I saw. I didn't get any kind of close-ups. I wasn't in for, the guy was really a mess. I'm not kidding you. It was really bad. And
So then you asked people to do some more stunts so you could take some.
No, they weren't doing stunts at all. It was,
Oh,
yeah,
and here you got this guy laying on the
no,
ground.
I'm sorry. I went there to film or to shoot those pictures,
Mhm.
but something came up, a true emergency there.
Right.
And
I'm surprised you're
I guess
riding your
maybe I
bike.
just didn't handle it very well. I should probably have never said anything and just got back because I had a nice little zoom on there and I got one shot, but
I think,
You
yeah,
know,
in a
I wasn't-
situation like that.
I wasn't going to show anybody. I have street people laying in the street and things like that, I admit I feel a little bit ill at ease when I do things like that. I'm not even sure my own motives, I guess.
Well, Tom, it's not your nature to be insensitive, so I wouldn't internalize it. It's just something that
No.
happened, and I just chalk it up and move on.
Yeah,
Don't let it bother you.
yeah, I guess I just didn't handle it right,
Well, that happens.
If I
Well,
could
that
make,
can happen to all of us. That happens to everybody. So don't worry about it, Tom.
Yeah.
if I could make one comment, and that would be, often whenever you see someone taking pictures of a champion who's won in an athletic event, and then you'll see someone who is a real professional and they will go ahead and they'll take pictures of people who were maybe not the winners, and that maybe they didn't even place bronze place,
Mhm.
and they're looking disappointed. And and sure, in the moment, that's not exactly what they want, is have their picture taken, but kind of like the event needs to be recorded.
Oh, that's number one thing a sports photographer goes for is to get the emotion
Emotion.
shots,
Mhm.
Yeah.
either jubilation or disparity.
Mhm.
That's why they carry 3 cameras usually. Whatever distance.
But
they need.
yeah, I don't know if hey, you might want to go out there if anybody's really interested in some action photography. They're
I'm-
putting in almost 20 miles of new engineered mountain bike trails there, and they have
Where's that
got they got jumps. I mean, these guys are flying through the air pretty good. They're coming off of these
Oh, I
boulders,
definitely want to do that.
getting all twisted out of shape, and they do that on the side of usually on the side of a slope, a hill or whatever. And so you can kind of get down and shoot up at them, without even being in their way at all. They have big high bank turns.
Where is
Where's this at?
Stony Creek.
Oh,
Yeah, they've been working on that since last year. They'll have it all wrapped up by about June, but it's really, really attracting a lot of people there.
oh, that'll be,
And
yeah. I
some of these young
definitely-
guys are really, really hot. I mean, I was looking at gosh, this thing must just looks like to me like it's just going off about 30 feet into space. I said, I'm not going down there. I'm too old for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that might be a good place if you want to get some nice action shots. I'd say weekends would be the best, probably.
yeah, you bet. I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Maybe not this next week, but
Mhm.
Well, that's our assignment isn't it? High speed
Yep.
sport or something?
yeah. And what's
Amazing.
so disappointing about, I wish I'd have moved that assignment out a month or two, not realizing that
Right,
most of the activities are still shut down.
right.
Has anybody ever heard of Ultimate Frisbee?
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
my
I
nephew
never heard
does
of it. It's actually like soccer Frisbee.
Yeah, my nephew plays it. He's quite
Yeah, and I
That's
went,
different
I
than
never
fris-
heard about it. I was
Is that different
about
than
it the other
frisbee
day and
golf?
I looked it up. Gosh, there is people there's a lot of action there. I mean, they're diving through the air, going for the
Oh,
frisbee, and just they're just moving all the time. So, I was talking with a young fella who he's going to Oakland University, and they play pretty regular over there. And I'm only a mile away. I thought I'd stop over there and take a look and see if I can't get some shots. And I was gonna call somebody and ask them what kind of camera settings they would recommend on that. But
Anytime you want to go, Tom, just give me a ring.
okay.
I might know someone who can bring out a Sony A1 with a 200 to 600 with a teleconverter on it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know where the athletic fields are up there by the dormitories,
okay.
just back off of Walton there. And he says they play in the evenings. So
I'll have to,
I'll
Get over there if I
I'll
ever
see
stop
him
the
tomorrow.
artwork.
So, yeah, I'll see when if they have regularly scheduled games or whatever. I don't know.
okay.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
how are the assignments decided? Like, who does that? You?
There's a real secret sauce to it. Usually in the fall, I've got to come up with something, and I'll put out a plea to people to give me ideas, of which I almost never hear much back at all. And the last 2 years,
McCutcheon?
McCutcheon has given me a bunch of ideas, so I've taken a lot of hers. And
Okay.
then I kind of wove in the ones we had for the artists. But I'm always interested in changing that. If people have better ideas, I'm open. But I've always tried to keep the assignments and stuff to be somewhat learning experiences, as opposed to let's go photograph something that's blue and see who got the best blue picture.
Originally, didn't we have the assignments that had to be taken within the year of the date?
In the last 2 years, I've said within 18 months.
Right, okay.
Yeah, within the year or the previous 6 months. And I know
Okay.
people sometimes don't do that. I don't get real prescriptive about it, because at the end of the day, I look at it as, it's like this last one with Vivian Meyer. If people went and looked up something about her, saw some of her work, and made a feeble attempt at making a picture, that's okay. That was the learning experience. Is just to go find out who she is and what she did.
Yeah, I enjoy that, being introduced to new artists and photographers and looking them up and seeing their history and how they take photographs. I think it's a good educational experience.
Maybe I have to get off my butt and start getting out and taking those pictures. I really felt bad missing last time.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It was a great learning experience. But sometimes when we judge that assignment, we don't judge it on the assignment, the actual assignment. We judge it on if it's a good picture or not.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's a
So,
problem. And maybe if people want, I can start being more prescriptive about it, because there's almost always 2 or 3 that really don't fit the assignment.
Well,
Yeah, I
the
think it
point
has to
is
be a
that-
good picture plus fit the assignment.
No, it has to match the assignment first.
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
then be a good picture for
Right.
that assignment.
And that's
Right.
where the judging comes in. They look at it as a good picture and okay, whatever it is, it fits the assignment. But the point of it is it has to be judged in the category of the picture.
Yep,
Yeah,
maybe-
and especially if it's meant to be a learning experience, it being a good photo shouldn't be the main, it should be fitting the assignment, be the
Fitting
main.
the assignment, that's correct.
Right.
Yes.
The good news is I've seen a number of really good ones over the last year. People have done so. By the way, don't forget, we do have a group assignment for later in the summer, so that one's not an easy one.
We get started?
Yep, let's
Yep.
go.
Okay, we've got a lot of people missing, so we're recording this, right, Bob?
Yes, I am
So if you're
recording.
watching the recording, we're gonna get started right here, so I will.
Mm.
All right, can everyone see the screen?
Right out of the box.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
He shot that from my boat and mine are nowhere near that good.
Wow.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll wait for that. Okay, we're done?
Yeah.
Okay, let's, Bob, these are yours.
Yeah. I haven't been doing well enough to nail down a style yet, so I just kind of did some of the things I've done recently. This is an example of a picture I took my grandsons when they were here visiting a couple of weeks ago down to DIA. They're really into art. And this was one of the big displays we had. It was in a very bright room. So I kind of halfway did what Tom's been trying to do, which is trying to do the black backgrounds and enhanced it. So that's just kind of what it is. It's a unique piece of string art. It's actually quite large, and I played around with the color schemes and the backgrounds and stuff like that. So that's
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
How do you get such a, it looks like it would be such a, like a glossy magazine picture. Like, how do you, is that just with the dodging and burning? It just looks so clean and sharp and shiny.
well, the clean and sharp is I was using a new camera with a great lens, but as far as the rest, I guess I don't know. It's just if you get it close to the right exposure and you've got good equipment, it should be fairly crisp. I didn't do anything to make it great and wondrous.
So you didn't play with the light a lot on it?
No, not much. I had to
Okay.
darken up around the base of it a little bit. It was the lighting in the museum is not always the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gary, is there a theme tonight that we're looking at, or it's just any picture that you have?
The latter.
Yeah. What we've been doing, Maurice, over the last months is Gary's been encouraging people to develop their own style, maybe a derivative from somebody else's style, but to develop their own. I'm probably the one who's done the least amount of developing his singular style. Here's an example of last week I was out and did a portrait of this wet sandhill crane at about 2 feet away. So just what I was working on recently.
And Maurice, it's very interesting to watch the group as they've developed over the past year. You're starting to see these styles develop. You know, I can recognize some of your pictures right away because you do portraits and all that. And you know, there's certain style and character and class to them. And I think most photographers would like to go in a direction, you know, so that's what we're working on. And not that you have to go in a particular direction, but if you want to develop a style, we'll work on it. So that's what we're going.
My nemesis is I'm in everything. Linda, you asked about,
Yeah.
you like this to be just a regular color picture. This is the regular color picture.
I think this is great. I do.
It's a nice shot.
Yeah, and I was
Now-
standing in the street poking my camera through a hole in the fence.
Well, and sadly, I don't know, like if you were to submit this in club, it probably would not hit that sharpness, which to me is, that sharpness is also what makes this image.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
when we have to size it down, we lose something, you know?
you lose a
Yeah, and
ton.
sometimes that matters more than others. And this is an image that I think it would matter because the detail is what is so, everywhere you look, there's a story. And I
Yeah.
like that.
This is a full frame 50 megapixel image and I do shoot a lot of 100 megapixel. So, yeah,
It's
when
like,
you dumb
it's
them
like
down
the
to,
I'm
Hmm?
sorry to say, it's like the modern version of those Dutch paintings Gary showed us way back when there were all those little vignettes of life and all the
oh,
different parts of the painting, and this is like 20th, first century.
Yeah, it's an interesting place down there. They've really made some progress in the last year. They got a lot of people working on that one.
Yeah.
This is one I did today. This is not at all how I started out trying to make it. But I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago, I was down, maybe 10 days ago, down to the Belle Isle and shot, it was a crappy day and so I shot whatever I could find, but I started off with the motion blur technique and had all kinds of wild colors and I played around with all kinds of settings and then eventually moved over to black and white with a funny sky and flood for the foreground. Here's one, Tom, that I used the vertical motion blur and I used radial blur and lens blur.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just screwing around with different settings. I'm pretty sure I could not reproduce it.
So you changed to sort of to get that sweep in the clouds, then I take it. That's
Yeah.
is that the result of the first two blurs?
Well, when I started off with the motion blur technique, I was getting, strong vertical motion blur. And I said, I've done a bunch of those. Let's try something else. So I was fooling around with
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
Yeah,
It looks good, Bob.
it's good. Yeah, yeah.
It looks very natural.
Well, yeah, I tried to get that, but you know how it is.
The tonal qualities are really nice. It doesn't look exaggerated or overdone. It's well.
Yeah, I didn't straighten the image out like I should have, so it has some funny twist to it. I don't remember what I shot it with. Well, I shot it with the A1, but I don't know what lens. On this last one, this was an experiment I did this afternoon. A couple of weeks ago, these are my grandsons in front. We were out, they waxed the boat and we put it in the water that day. But I took a cell phone picture. I've got an iPhone 12 Pro Max, and this was taken in HEIF format, which is sort of a 10-bit improved JPEG that's going to be the standard over coming months. It was not done in Apple Pro RAW. I thought, well, I'll take this 12 megapixel image and do the Photoshop Super Res treatment to it. And then I thought I would print it. So I did print it. And so I up-res this from 12 to 48 megapixels with Super Res and printed it at 16.25 by 21 inches. And it turned out nice enough to submit to Club for a print. So cell phones have come a long ways.
It's impressive.
Interesting.
If
Yeah.
this had been done in Apple RAW, I think it would have been even better. And I did no editing or anything on it. So anyway, it's just a test.
What's super res?
That's one we probably should cover again.
Okay, we can go over that
Yeah,
once we go through the pictures here.
You bet.
Um,
It's a new Adobe feature that'll quadruples your image. And it's pretty nice what it does.
Does it give you sharpness or just so you can make a big image? Print up a,
It makes it 4 times bigger without a loss in resolution or quality and maybe
Okay.
an improvement.
okay. So it's for printing like poster size.
Well, it's just for fixing up images for whatever reason, like if you extreme crop.
Okay. This is me. Again, this is, this is one of my heartbreaks. I submitted this. You guys probably recognize it from Club. I thought it was a strong image. I honestly thought this would be like in the 3-4 category, and it got mostly 2s. So feedback would be very appreciated. 'Cause
I'm ready for feedback.
I'm just not, I don't understand like how I'm so far off.
Okay, Linda, you're getting good, so I'm going to be a little tougher on my critiques with you.
Okay.
Here, you also included a black and white.
Well, because I thought maybe people just, I don't know, didn't like it. So maybe it would be better as a, I don't know.
I
Well,
like the black and white better.
Yeah, I
You're-
do too.
Yeah, you're right on the black and white. Okay, let's go back and, tell me what the major difference is when you're going back and forth between the color and the black and white.
Well, the black and white has a lot of drama, but that's not initially, when I was there in the place, the picture I took represents how I felt in that moment, the original photo. So in Dubrovnik, Dubrovnik is a very crowded, crazy kind of touristy place. So to have this moment of stillness with this perfect sky and the warm sun, this was just a precious moment in time. And, looking ahead, the adventure around the corner, not quite knowing what's there. That's what I felt and saw with that image. Now with the second image, there's a lot of drama and moodiness, but that isn't at all what I was feeling when I took that photo. Which
Okay, now here's something.
But
Good photographers don't photograph objects, they photograph light.
okay,
And the light here is just, it's just wrong. The light
It
here
is?
is great.
okay. So what is wrong?
Well, the colors really don't work here either. You're cutting the picture right in half. The bottom half is orange, the top is blue. And those really, they're
Orange and-
fighting with each other. And you can't, when you're looking at the picture, you really can't tell, do I look up at the clouds or do I look at the bottom? Because you put that horizon right at the center.
Okay,
And the light itself, the beautiful part of this black and white is all this beautiful reflection of the coming in here in the walkway. But you
Mhm.
haven't captured that really in the color picture. But in the black you
Okay.
have.
okay.
The texture is so much better in that black on those paving stones.
Yeah.
That
Uh-huh.
texture really stands out a lot more than it does.
And I
in-
think the big issue is the overpowering brightness of the sky, and the color one detracts you from looking at the paving.
So you started something in the black and white to start, what Bob just said, the distraction of that bright sky, you really started toning it down. Maybe you want to follow through with that and do some more. What you've done is really exaggerated the contrast here, and I don't think you really need to go as far as you did. There's
Okay.
enough there, but the sky is something that I played around with, and you're in the right direction. I think
Okay.
you might want to just do a cutout of that sky and decide whether you want to do a graduated, black to dark gray or something. Something needs to do. You need to do something with the sky to complement what's going on down here. And maybe
So
it
eliminate those clouds?
might be one. That might be one way to do it.
I would take a look at making it a square image using only the bottom half.
Well, you might want to, crop it at the square or something. It would be somewhere around here.
Yeah,
And you have to think about what you want to do with this area here that's going to complement this.
just hold your hand up over the black part of the sky and look at the rest of the image. It
Mhm.
gets even better.
Okay, so it's more rule of thirds. So changing that to black, cutting that out, that's something I was, I don't quite know how to do that. And Bob, you meant your first image, you said you made a black background. And my first thought was, gosh, how does he do that? Because I don't really know how to do that. So,
The master at that's Tom. He can tell us.
Okay.
Linda,
uh-huh,
I want you to look up a photographer. Okay, I want you to write this down. Michael Kenna, Kenna.
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
And he shoots in square format, almost all of his pictures. But I want you to look through his pictures before you decide to go back and change this or modify it or process.
mhm,
And look through his style, look through what he's doing and how he approaches it. And then go
Okay.
back after you've looked at him, then go back and start studying this again and seeing what you can do. This is a good way to model after another photographer. You're not stealing from him. You're just using him for inspiration or her for inspiration. So go look at Michael Kenna and then come back and take a look at this.
okay,
McKenna's really good.
okay,
Linda, can I say something? You mentioned
sure.
when you were talking about the picture that, it gave you the feeling of whatever loneliness and whatever, but we as judges can't judge feelings. We have to judge what the picture is, the lighting of it, the composition of it, that's kind of what we judge. And when you put a picture in that has this great feeling, all it tells us that you were there. You took a snapshot of a picture and showed that you were there. And so when we look at pictures, as I say, we look at composition, we look at sharpness, we look at lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they get judged in that category, not on a feeling.
Well, I disagree with you a little bit, Maurice, because I do think part of art is portraying an emotion. I mean, it doesn't have to be part of the image, but sometimes I do think.
Well,
The
there's got to be something for the people looking at it to
Connect.
recognize there's emotion, whether it's the subject matter or the way it's lit or something. There's got to be something that says this is the subject and here's the emotion we're trying to get you to recognize.
There's nothing
You know it because you were there.
what is around the corner. There's nothing that says, oh, I wonder what's around the corner. I don't really see the corner.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
think I would see the corner more if like what Bob said and Gary is putting it in a square format. So
Right.
less the sky's there. So my eye will be directed to the corner. Because the
Mhm.
lighting and the pathway drives me around that corner. It's just that there was too much of sky.
Yeah.
Too much sky in there. You are correct, right. Mhm.
Okay.
So Maurice makes an
That's a good
excellent point.
exercise.
What you want to do is look at Michael Kenna
Uh-huh.
Okay.
and try to look at the same concept that you were trying to express. You know, think of Michael Kenna is trying to express to you the emotion that he was seeing when he was taking the picture, and try to get that feeling from his pictures. Then when you get done, start over. Don't, just take do you have the original raw file?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, start over and
Okay.
just do it piece by piece. You know, this is a little exaggerated. I don't think you have to go to this extent to make it look the way where you want to go. I mean, Tom does a lot of pictures like this, and he'll take this little sliver right here and make an adjustment just on that piece separately. Then you'll look at this little block here and adjust this. It sounds like a lot of work, but to get the kind of pictures that we're talking about, like Michael Kenna, what Tom does, Maurice does, you're going to have to spend that time. And this is worth it. This picture is worth it because I can see that this could be a really, really good picture.
Mhm.
So don't give up on it. This is a good
Okay.
picture. All right.
You're right.
Okay. Well, then, so okay. So this one, well, the next, I think we're ready to move on. I am. So this was just, trying all some of the different creative things that we've, I'm slowly learning things, and this is the look I like. I've talked about it before. So in this one, I'm learning to use the different brushes and kind of create that watercolor look. Part of the reason I included it tonight, though, is I wanted to get feedback because it does, to me anyway, it has a painterly look, but I'm not sure if it were in club, would it go in creative or color? And then, of course, if you have any other feedback, I'm open to that as well. So.
I'm going to guess it would not go in creative because it doesn't look like an alternate reality. But
It's
it does look
subtle.
like it's been manipulated with filters or brushes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could pick up, it's not immediately obvious that you're trying to make a watercolor out of this.
Mhm.
Okay.
And to me, it looks like it's been over-processed.
Oh. Mm.
Yeah, I would say the
So be
same.
careful. Sometimes when you're trying to do one thing, you leave the impression of something else.
Okay.
And this picture has a lot of potential as well. But the colors to me don't seem to work together real well. So this may be
Yeah, the
another.
orange, you don't like orange and blue.
Well, it just maybe the intensity of the colors. It's
a little harsh.
it is harsh.
Okay.
It looks like to me, it does look like a painting, rather than a photograph. I think in that, a lot of times you have certain painters that will have more harsh colors in their paintings, and, you know, like in the trees here and the roof, they're a little more predominant. But that's where I think, to me, it looks more like a painting than a photograph. But yeah, I mean, it's not totally looking like a oil or a watercolor, but I think it's more toward, to me, it looks a little more toward the acrylic or oil than watercolor.
Yeah, it ended up having kind of a, like almost a ink like look to it too.
Right.
And don't give up on this one. I mean, do the other one first. And I think you'll learn a lot from that process that you can then come back to this one and look at this one a little bit differently.
The other thing is I would give a try at this as black and white.
I think so too.
That's a good idea.
Oh,
Yeah,
never thought of that.
it's a good
Yes.
idea.
I think you're going to be surprised, but do
Yeah.
the other one first. You'll learn enough from that one to make this one really good too.
Okay.
Black and white without their painterly effect, correct?
Yes.
I bet that'll look nice.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm gonna have 10 copies of every image. So now this was, you know, Tom, I really liked some of what Tom had done. So I was trying to do sort of something similar, just take everything away other than the subject.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
I can see that. Yeah.
it's obviously certain things I don't really know yet how to do. So this was my attempt.
I like it, but I'm gonna let Tom make the major comments on this. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I think you're going right. I think I would have gotten rid of that geometric shape over there on the left, upper left.
Yeah, see, that's, I don't
Yeah.
know yet. I don't
And
do that.
yeah,
creatively.
and just take that out, and there's sort of a glow behind the statue's head there. You know, I kind of like that in effect. And
How would
it
you,
could have,
how would,
so you could have just removed that. Let's see. Yeah, just take that geometric shape out and then kind of go with that glow behind the head, and maybe that other shape down there on the bottom towards the right. You could have maybe just darkened that. You know, like
And put a little
just
rim light?
just de-emphasize that. Yeah.
Tom, would
Mhm.
you slightly darken that light spot behind the head?
Yeah, slightly. Yeah. I'm finding those bright spots are like, I'm getting more attracted to those. I haven't really tried it too much lately, but I'm going to incorporate it in a few things here, hopefully, if I get a chance. But yeah, I would have simplified it just a little bit more by maybe taking those, de-emphasizing those two shapes at the bottom. The one way over, it must be a knee sticking up there, I think. Yeah, to me, that's a little
Yeah, he's
distracting.
crouching.
Or maybe you could have just really give it a real dark vignette. That may have done it, you know.
Mhm.
Tom, would you lighten his left fist?
His left what?
Fist, the
Oh,
arm.
his left fist. Okay, I'll turn
Right.
myself. Left fist. Yeah, that's a nice. I kind of like that coming down there like that. Yeah, and then
Okay.
it's sort of, yeah, with those highlights. Yeah, I kind of like that.
I think one of the real strengths of this picture is the tonality that you see here, these reflections, this silvery look, that's a
Mhm.
really strong character.
Yeah, there's a lot of texture in there.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. And there is sort of I don't know, my eye is kind of coming down that slant from the upper right to his head, down, kind of circles around that bright spot on his face, down the shoulder, and then up the arm, and then down the other arm. That I just, to me, that's sort of a nice flow.
So if I understand you, you're saying take out that step-like structure in the upper left and
Yeah.
be a gray. And make it gray, not black.
Yeah, tried. Yeah. I think
Content aware or something.
in that case, I might just select all of that. I guess it's sky, right?
Yeah,
And, you know, I'd select right along his back. And
yeah,
I get rid of all of that and reconstruct it. Just taking and maybe redo that glow with a great big white brush and a black background with a lot of feather on it. Or gosh, you could set your flow and do it. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ways you could do that. But I think I would have gone that way.
okay.
And then maybe, yeah, you know, that's kind of cool. I like that whole central part of that picture. That looks good to me. And especially, like Murray said, with that arm, his left arm coming down, I kind of like that too. Gives a little bit of emotion to it.
Well, it reminded me of what you had said, to just strip it to the essentials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hard to do sometimes. It really is. You know,
You did good, Linda.
yeah.
Thank you.
Please
yeah.
take our criticism as being positive.
No, I do. I mean, I know I won't always, we're not all going to see things exactly.
Yeah, well, you know,
I don't like when I don't know.
Well, listen, you're getting good and you deserve criticism, constructive criticism. And, you know, you're not going to just hear nice picture, nice picture. I like that. That's not what we're here for.
Right.
Okay.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay, good.
All right.
okay, good. Oh, nice.
Mike, these yours?
Yeah. I haven't gotten a chance to get out and get any pictures taken, disappointed as it is. Fell into a lot of depression when I saw Bob's pictures of his A1 camera. I drooled over that thing. So I shot this with my cell phone back in the wintertime. I just played around with a different couple levels, and I tried to do something with the tree over on the right side. And I kind of ran out of time and didn't know whether to cut it out or leave it in. I kind of liked it a little bit. I changed the sky to give it a little bit more dramaticness to it. But I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I just wondered, you know, again, you know, maybe black and white. There's some colors in here that work together, and there's a few that don't. And you have to be real sensitive to that. Sometimes it's better to go black and white. And just, it's something I always do before I finish a picture and say it's done. I always check what it's going to look like in black and white.
Okay.
Is it straight? To me, it looks, that's always like one of the first things I do, just because I like my pictures straight. This one,
I did. Yeah, I did.
sometimes I know you can't get things exactly, you know, but it looks a little bit crooked to me.
Yeah, this could use a little straightening.
Yeah, I did straighten it. But you're exactly right. It wasn't taken square on.
Okay.
Let me show you real quickly.
Showing the guided tool.
Yeah, you go down to geometry. And then you have a number of tools here. This is automatic. This is horizontal, vertical, and everything's squared up. This tool is very, very useful because what you can do is draw lines where you see the spots where you want. Do you see the thing jump?
Oh, okay.
So you can draw your own lines on the lines you want to make sure that, you know, you're getting this thing squared away. You can just tell right now, there's some curvature here, but I think that's from the lens, and I'm not sure. You can probably work on getting that out, but it's not standing out right now, but you can see it's pretty straightened up right now.
Also notice that below where he was pointing with the boxes, there's the vertical and horizontal manual adjustments.
Okay.
No, back where you were, Gary.
Let's see.
There. See where it says
Yeah, right
vertical?
there.
And you got horizontal and rotate down below.
Yeah,
Down the
Yeah.
sliders down below, Gary.
yeah.
There.
There you go.
Sometimes you'll need to do that if you've had your camera tilted up or down and you're getting a bowing effect. another thing you can do is to use these manual ones if the other technique doesn't work well enough. But you got two options there.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that looks.
Yeah.
a lot
much better
better.
in black and white.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That completely took care of the bright spot on the tree too.
Yeah, now, be careful. Contrast is really important for controlling that. And, you know, you can do it a number of different ways. You can take the highlights down, open up the shadows. Sometimes just reducing the contrast will bring it back together. But now it's not such a stark looking picture. You know, it's more comfortable. It's more meat and mashed potatoes kind of thing, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's see.
I didn't know what to make of this. Here again, it was taken with a cell phone. It was up at the top of the Renaissance Center. I like the picture, but it's pretty rough looking. Let's give it that.
I just hit the auto button here and it doesn't always work. So, but let's look at black and white.
I think I like the black and white better.
Doesn't look quite as busy in black and white as it does in color.
Right.
Yeah, because you don't have all those competing colors.
Right.
A lot of times this color just doesn't work and you have to look
Mhm.
and see what, you know, black and white conversion just might make an overall better composition.
You know what I might do with that? I might take that into perspective and just change that whole perspective so that, you know, it's so that it would be tilted outwards at the top. That you see that a lot, you know, if people are shooting a cityscape like that from a tall building with a wide angle lens.
In this case, it is a little bit,
Yeah, but I've been messing around with that. Yeah, take it the other way, you know. I think I'd take it back the other way and get it to. You may have to take it back into Photoshop and actually use the perspective transform. But,
Okay.
yeah, you know, I think that would kind of liven it up a little bit. You know, if it was.
what does
kept
the
going.
perspective transform do that the movement he's doing now doesn't do?
Oh, you can do it a lot more. I mean,
Yes, I agree.
yeah. This only goes a certain way. You could go back into Photoshop and then bring it back and then keep doing that, but just go straight to Photoshop and do transform. And
When you're doing night shots like this, especially in black and white, be careful not to, you know, take the clarity and just boom, jump it up. Sometimes it works, but you know, a lot of times you can overdo it. So be real careful. Just do small steps at first and decide whether dehaze is going to work better for you. Look at the sky, what's happening. And you certainly don't need a lot of more sharpness or detail in something like this. This is more of a contrast control situation. So look at the clarity, look at this, look at the overall contrast, look at your highlights, shadows.
They should dehaze sometimes.
Yeah. But I think that is a much stronger picture
Mhm.
than the color one would be.
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, later on at the end, I could show you a cityscape. It's not my shot that I changed the perspective on. So if you ever want, when we're
I don't know if you care for this or not.
Yeah, again, you know, let's just see what this.
where is that?
That's Mansfield Prison.
Right.
It's a prison.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption.
Weren't you there, Tom?
Oh,
Ron was, I think.
Well, the Maurice was.
Yeah, I was there. That's familiar, Mike.
yeah.
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 It's a really neat.
Yeah, it's a neat place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think black, you know, well, I don't know.
I
know
like
it's,
I like the color too, though.
yeah. But I think it's just drawing too much attention up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your
this
eye does
is-
go to the clouds.
Okay.
feel like
Okay.
there's a little too much.
You might have
that
to go
one
into
photo.
color mixer, saturation, and take that, the orange.
Your cloud, the lighting on your cloud does not quite match the lighting on the building.
Yeah, it's much different. You're right.
That sort of keys you into, I know you replaced the clouds because the lighting is just not the same.
Okay.
Industrial grunge.
So what I was going for this is a very industrial look, something that maybe like a restaurant would have hanging up on the wall or something like that. The room was completely black dark. The biggest mistake I made is I didn't bring a flashlight of any type with me other than a cell phone. So the light that I had is what the flash produced on the camera. And then I did make this in black and white and tried to give it high contrast.
Yeah, I think it's too blurry in the lower right.
Okay.
Would have been, I think it'd been really nice if you just had a super sharp resolution on all of that.
Yeah.
I think it would work.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh, that's there are some just That's a dynamo of some sort, it looks like.
And this looks like one light source, which is really difficult to do. This is almost like product photography, and you have to think through, a balance between left and right, how the background's going to fit. I mean, it's a great subject.
A lot of texture in there that could be worked on.
Yeah.
All
And
that.
flat lighting
paint-
doesn't lead you to see the 3D effect.
Yeah, I think just
you could
really
change
high
that flat
resolution on that would look good.
Yeah, the light source, either one side or the other. It's like taking a portrait. Maurice will tell you, it's the whole thing is the balance of the lighting.
Okay.
And this is, think of this as a face.
Yeah.
So you could lighten and darken portions of this to give it that 3D effect.
Okay,
By golly,
good stuff.
Thank you.
yeah.
Let's see. All right, Ann. Got some good stuff again.
Oh,
Never
no.
disappoint us.
No, thanks. Well, the stuff that I submitted is pretty much doing a lot of the artography. I was playing around with a lot of different filters and layer adjustments and patterns and brushes. Actually, Linda just showed me how to use brushes. Thank you, Linda. And so I've been up to like 6 a.m. several nights since she showed me playing around, trying to get it into my head. Because if I do it once and I don't go back to it for a month, I forgot. So I've been playing around the last couple of weeks with all this stuff.
You can
So-
find all kinds of free brushes online. It's some, like these splatter brushes here and things like that. They're just, if you can think of what a name for a brush, there's free brushes online that you can get. So
You
it's,
can
Yeah.
also make your own brushes out of photographs.
yes.
Yeah, Linda also showed me that. But I have a question about brushes.
Yeah.
Every time I made some of my own brushes and I also uploaded a lot of brushes. But when I go out of Photoshop and I come back, they're all gone. And I have to reload them, and the ones I created are totally gone.
Hmm.
You know why that would be happening?
No.
Probably didn't load them properly.
It's just, you go and it says upload brushes or whatever, I don't know the terminology. So I click on that and I upload them, and then the brushes I make them in Photoshop.
Well, let's just look and see how my brushes are set up. Come on, open up. Let's see. Here's the brush.
Yep.
And here are my brushes.
Mm-hmm. And when I do, I just go window and I open the brush window.
And you can see the different categories. So these are all
Yes.
brushes that I've brought in.
Right, and that's what I did. And then when I go totally out of Photoshop, those all go away.
Hmm.
And luckily I kept them in a separate file when I uploaded them. Because I download them to my computer and then I uploaded them from my computer into Photoshop. So luckily I kept them so I could go back and reload them.
Maybe that's why. Like when I do it and I download them, they go right into Photoshop. They're nowhere, they're,
Well, and then I built about, I don't know, 7 or 8 brushes. And they're gone also. And I built them right in Photoshop. So I'm not sure why I'm losing them.
I will do some research for you.
Okay.
Hey, Ron,
Hey, how are you?
good.
I just got done working.
We're gonna talk about that one too, Ann.
Okay, so with those two there, that was more trying to get a watercolor effect. So I use the watercolor pattern for the background, as well as I have maybe 3 different textures that I brought in to use in different layers. Like I said, I'll use maybe 2 different artistic filters on this also. And then like where I want the bird, after all those layers, sometimes it starts to diminish, or like, especially with the filters, it may diminish the bird. It makes him so pleasing to look at that I'll cut him out. I'll take the regular photo and I'll do an object selection on the bird and put him in, and then just do a little painter effect on him, but so that he's not so, out of context of what he is. So there's several layers in there. And then of course I use the brushes for the splatter and some other artistic, impressionistic paint applications.
For the impression that you're getting now with this, with the textures and the texture on the branches and the bird, it really looks effective and realistic.
Thank you. I did a lot of hand painting with the brushes on both the little prickly leaves on there as well as on the branch.
Well, it shows. I mean, you're spending a lot of time in it, and it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And this one, Gary, this is where I had asked you to show me how you did your split images.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't have those nice still lives like you have. So I thought, what can I do it on? What can I do? So I just had a little architectural picture here and I just split in half, and then I used the 2 different layer adjustments. I think one's the curves and I'm not sure what the other one is.
The fun of doing these is you can just keep playing with them, turn one side black and white, the other color, reverse them, invert them, do quarter sections. There's just so many different ways you can do these pictures. And I like this. It looks good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And this was just another, was trying different textures. So this one was, I think, the relief, the boss relief and curves I used on this just to get these leaves to look something kind of out of ordinary.
Were you hand painting some of those colors?
No, this was curves, got those colors.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And bas relief for the effect and who knows what else.
Ooh, I
Okay.
like this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is my New York skyline that I submitted to you guys, I don't know, several months ago in just black and white. When you just taught us about the motion blur. So I went back to that and thought, what could I do different? So I put it in curves to get the color. Well, first I had to make the white background. And I don't know, maybe there's an easier way, but I didn't do the object selection. I just had the skyline as a layer. And then I went in and painted all around there to, when you unmask it. It took me forever. And then once I did that, then I put it in curves and got the colors. And then I used the liquify and made those the buildings taller in the middle. And then I went and did the motion blur. And then on the bottom, I went in and did some painting, some application of the splatter and some other painting techniques.
Okay, I've done a lot of these, and I'll give you a tip.
Uh-huh,
You correct your perspective before you do the blur. See how these
Okay.
buildings are leaning in?
Crooked. yes,
You want them absolutely vertical, because when you do your motion blur, you want it to follow that exact straight vertical line up and down, or else it'll smear like this, and you won't get as good an effect as you're
Okay.
looking for here. See how these are smearing?
yes,
Okay, that's
Yep.
because these are turned. If you had
Okay.
these exactly vertical, you get some really sharp, distinct lines here.
so go into geometry and use the lines, okay,
You know, just one of the tools that we just used on Mike's picture, you know, just make sure that these are absolutely straight up and down.
okay,
And then as you take that blur, you're gonna get these real nice fine streaks going up and down. It'll really match up nice.
oh, good, thank
Yeah,
you.
this is really nice. I would do this one over and
Okay.
get it corrected, because this is gonna be, you're gonna be shocked.
Do you have an easier way for me to do, because I
I was
made,
just gonna say,
yes.
maybe try sky replacement.
oh, to get, but that would do, make everything background white?
No, it
No.
would give you a mask.
We'll save that for later, because I've got a
Okay.
picture I'm gonna show you that's is actually going to show you the way to do this, okay?
Okay,
All right, so let's move on.
okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay, this was an iPhone picture. I like taking pictures of cats. I don't have a cat, but I really love, I think they're very photogenic. I love cats. So this was somewhere in Italy. And I just kind of like this picture to begin with, so I wanted to play with it to make it a little more painterly. So this is like a blend of black and white and color. So one's a color and then a layer, and then one's a black and white layer. And then I used maybe two different filter layers, like fresco maybe, or I don't know, paint swabs. And then
What do you,
did-
Ian, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by a filter? What do you?
you know, the artistic filters in Photoshop where you have the
Oh, like where you showed me that watercolor thing?
yes, where there's watercolor and there's fresco and there's underpainting and several others. There's a whole
Okay.
list of them. So I go in there and maybe use 2 or 3 different ones in each a different layer, and then I blend them however I like. And sometimes, like on the right-hand side of the cat, I didn't like the way that it had the filters blended. So I cut out, using the selection tool, part of that floor and just put that into a filter and made that the way I wanted it to look with one of those artistic filters, and then put that, then masked it in. And then also I did some painterly stuff on this also with the brushes. And I wanted his eyes to come out. So then after I merged the whole picture, I brought it into Camera Raw and then highlighted his eyes and his pink nose, brought the color out in those two things.
That's the first thing I noticed is the green eyes. That really is good.
Thank you. And this was my attempt on trying to figure out how to change color. I still don't know how to do it.
Well,
This was so hard for me because I could not just like select something and make it a different color. I had to like select portions of this picture and then go in and use a brush and then paint it. And it drove me insane.
well, but that's one of the ways you can do it.
Okay, it was awful.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
awful.
And if you ask Tom about time it takes to do some pictures, he's not going to want to hear you complain about it's going to take too long.
Oh, I probably spent 6 hours, I don't know,
Well,
on this whole bit, because, and then I didn't like it and I had to redo parts, and there's other things besides the paint. I brought in a couple textures and stuff, and this wasn't the picture that I was looking for to do this. I just didn't have it readily available. I have a different street scene that I wanted to do this to, but I didn't want to take the time and get my external hard drive and try to find it. So I just use this one. I do have a little bit better street scene to do this to, and maybe when I do it again, I'll use that one instead. But do you have any suggestions?
Well, one thing that jumps out right away is that I love what you've done with the building here with the colors, but the sky does not work. The style is completely different.
Yeah, I didn't do anything to the sky.
You know, if I were going to do the sky, I would just do just a pale blue or something else, you know, in keeping, you know, just a
Okay.
monochrome sky, because this is really, I like the look and the effect. And this part is kind of on its own as well. I mean, I'm wondering, you know, should it really be there? Does it need to be there? I guess it does, because you want to, you know, walk down the street and turn to the right and go down the street. But the sky definitely, I think I would work on.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, no, that's an excellent suggestion.
okay.
Okay, and then I think with this one, I put it in one of the other uploads. When I uploaded, I wanted to put all three in one. I accidentally put this in with this one. But what I have wanted to show you, I have the original picture, and then I have this one, which is more like a, I don't know, widescreen. And then I have a square, or then I wanted to see your opinion on which one you like better, the square or this one.
Okay.
But this is done in Paris at Cheverny Chateau. And we were outside on the lawn there, and this little girl came by and she was clapping and making the butterflies fly. Now, those aren't the butterflies that were actually there. The ones that showed up on my picture were this just like little tiny butterflies. And I took this, as we were talking earlier about being discreet when you're taking pictures. I didn't want the mother to be angry that I was taking a picture of her child, so I was very quick about taking the picture. But I just loved that she was there just enthralled with these butterflies, and she was clapping and they were flying around. So I replaced the real butterflies with something I just found on the internet and had to mask them in. And I know they're bigger than normal butterflies, but I wanted that effect for this picture because it's a painting. It's not, I mean, it's a photograph made into a painting. So in this one, I used maybe 3 different kinds of artistic filters. But the majority is I did a lot of painting to get those flowers to pop. And I even put in some additional plants and grasses on the bottom. And when I do the brushes, you know, I use, I'll keep changing color, and I'll keep changing the size of the brush or the type of brush to get, you know, more of a painterly effect.
It's a wonderful image, and I think you might be right about square. I think you could come up with, you know, you have to play around with how you're going to crop this, but a square composition, you know, all this other stuff is nice, but maybe it gets stronger if you crop this in a square.
Do you have that one? I sent it to you.
Okay, well, we'll go
Yeah,
through it.
it might be in it.
Okay.
And this is another one doing the
Wanna
same
see-
kind.
It's not in the, okay, it's not in this group, okay.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah,
another group.
I sent you another one too. I noticed. I didn't see it.
Okay,
And one thing about those butterflies is 2 of them are going exactly the same.
I know. Should be different, right?
I would
Sure.
alter that a little bit.
Yeah. So just twist them around. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Somebody
Okay.
else.
Gary, can you go back to that picture before with the child? Yeah. Now, Ann, I understand taking a picture of a child, you don't want the mother to see it. But if you got down a little lower on this girl,
Mm-hmm.
a stronger picture, and the same thing with your cat picture, you seem to be looking down on it. So
Yeah, and you're right. Yeah.
you got to be kind of eye level with children,
Okay.
also with animals, that you're not appearing down on them.
Okay.
So I
I'm
think
writing
this
these
might be
things down.
a little stronger if you drop yourself. Sometimes we as photographers have to move down.
Okay.
We can't take the picture always the way we're standing up. Sometimes we have to stoop down, especially
Thank you.
pictures of children,
That's where your
Thank-
tilt screen helps.
to overpower them, you know. Right.
Mhm. Good advice.
thanks, Maurice. I didn't want to have to deliver all the critique tonight.
Thank you.
And did you add the shadow in there?
Nope. That was there.
Okay, okay,
No, that's the original shadow.
okay,
You see it in the original picture.
okay. Thank you. Okay.
And there's a lot to work with here, so, but I agree, yeah.
And this was a picture in Giverny of the garden, Monet's garden. And I took it and, made it into a painterly effect. Spent a lot of time, couple hours, I think, just painting.
Well, Monet is exactly what
like
popped into my
painting.
mind when I saw it. So that
Yeah.
you did a good job.
Thank you. This one was fun. This was a dahlia from, I guess it's a dahlia. Is it dahlia, Linda?
Yeah,
From Monet's garden. And use the watercolor paper or pattern background. And then I brought in a few different textures as layers and did some painting, not a lot of painting, and then just different layers.
There's almost, it looks like there's a little pink color here. And I'm thinking to balance out this pink here, you might
Yes.
wanna just bring this up just a hair. I'm just trying to balance.
Yeah, and actually I put in that pink in the bottom.
Okay.
So I should have put in a little more, you're saying.
Maybe just a touch more. Yeah.
Okay.
That's beautiful. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Nice picture.
And then that was just another watercolor. We saw that. Yeah.
When did I miss one of your other ones or did you?
yeah, there was,
No, oh man, I messed up then. I think you did.
I
send it
didn't
here.
send it, I sent it separate. It was, oh, there it is.
Aha,
And the reason I brought it up, and now I already forgot why, because you said something and it made me think of it, and then I was like, oh, that image didn't show up. I can't remember, but anyway, here it is. So I had taken the photo, and it's a bad photo. I mean, I think it's a terrible photo, but I kept going back to it. I don't know why. I guess because it's so clean. So I felt like there must be something I could do with it, and so the other photo is what I've done with it, but oh, I know the top is crooked. I mean, that is how it is, but it bugs me, that cross thing at the top. So when you were showing that how to fix, I didn't know if that would fix it. Like look in the finished picture, or my version of the finished picture. Yeah, see how it's skewed?
yeah,
It is like that in real life. I don't know if you should change it. But
Just use, select it and use transform and bend it.
I tried that, but what ended up happening is that I ended up with two of them, the original one and then the transformed one.
but let's go back to the original. Your job as a photographer is to capture the light. Okay, the light is going to create the picture. You're not, and now you're on the shadow side of this, and you're not taking advantage of what the light's doing. And sometimes the silhouette will work, but in this case, I think this doesn't. This is all in shadow, and the only really reflected light we're getting is just this and a little bit here. So I think that's why you're struggling with this.
Okay, so there's not really much to work with,
Right.
which I kind of recognize, but
You gotta find the light as a photographer, okay?
Okay. So in the next image, is there, by trying to make it look kind of like an old?
Yeah, it's a struggle because of what you've got to work with, okay? So sometimes it just isn't gonna work,
Okay.
okay? Don't feel bad. I throw away 95% of my stuff, so don't worry. Let's see. And
Oh, there's the Squarian.
that one you had in club, right?
Yeah, reason I gave you this one is because Bob Hagopian had suggested me putting in a shadow. So this was my attempt at putting
Okay.
in the shadow.
Oh,
All right,
I see it.
that does help a lot, yes, good.
So I don't know how you normally do it. I probably did more than I needed to. I did object selection of the women. I flipped them vertically and then used that as a layer, and then went in and masked the shadow in.
No, it's
I
convincing.
turned the layer, dark into
Yeah.
like a silhouette, and then masked the shadow in.
That works.
Okay,
That's convincing.
Yeah.
This is the
that's the
without,
original. See the little white things on the left and at the top? Those were the original butterflies.
yeah, you'd have to explain to people those are butterflies.
Right. And it's a little crooked there. And then this is the square.
Yeah, I think that works.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that better too.
You see more of the painterly effect and it's more, condensed.
Okay, so you had some questions. Here's one that you liked and you wanted to know how it was done. And I should
Right.
probably, let me take it into camera raw just so we can see it bigger. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, there was about 3 or 4 versions of this that this person had on the internet, and different flowers, and they're beautiful. And I thought, I'm going to try that. Well, I couldn't even come close. So
Well,
I don't
that-
know what they're
That
doing.
happens a lot. So I
Yeah.
took both of these. This is the other one you
Mhm.
wanted to convert these to pastels, the linens that are hanging from the clothesline. And I agree, that would be just great. I mean, even this background that you could, if you could select this background and turn it to a light pastel, something a light yellow or something,
Mhm.
this could be really interesting. So and then here's the other picture that you wanted to work on. So I took these into Photoshop. Let's see, where am I? Here. And what you have to do, and it's not real complicated, it's just time consuming. And it's duplicate the layer and then take your selection brush and start trying to find the outline. And you can see that because everything is so close in tone, I'm gonna get my brush back here too, where I had it. I've got a Berg brush right now. And you can see as I go down here, eventually I got this thing where it's all selected.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you can go, and there's probably a lot of different ways you can do this, but here's what I think is a simple way to do it, is that we already have a black and white picture, but I'm going to go to the black and white conversion and then hit tint.
Okay.
Okay, I should have this all selected. Let me try.
Nope.
No, okay. We're going to do it without it, just I don't want to take the time right now to go back,
Sure.
but we're going to go to black and white, hit tint, and here you can pick whatever shade
Ah,
you
okay.
want. And then the
Okay.
saturation is going to give you how much of that you want. So
Mhm.
the secret here, or the goal here will be to go in and select each one of these individually. And that's a lot of work. It's going to take some time.
Mhm.
And you're going to be going crazy trying to get these little tiny corners and things like that. And there might be, Tom might have some secrets to doing this better than the clumsy way that I was doing. But in the end, you can, this one can be pink and this one can be a light blue and this one can be a little yellow. And then if you save those selections, you could probably select the inverse where you have the entire wall selected, and then you could convert the wall to maybe a real pale pastel color. So it's just a matter of selection, and Tom might have some different ideas as to ways to convert those to different colors. But again, going into image adjustment, black and white, hit tint, pick your color, pick your saturation, and just keep going. But this looks good as a black and white, but I think your idea of doing it with the pastels would really be cool. I think that, but you're gonna get real frustrated trying to get in here and get every little corner
Yes.
done. But I think it might be worth it. This would be a lot of fun.
No,
Yeah,
in the new version, it worked for me on a couple times, and then sometimes it didn't. I'm not sure why, but to refine it. So if you use your selection tool, whether it be, the selection brush or the loop, okay, and you get that. I then go into select and then do select and mask. Select and mask. Okay, and then those plus and minuses, they came up for you right away. See the plus and minuses up there? Mine don't come up right away. And I don't
Okay.
know why. And if you have the plus and minus, then you can use your brush and fix, the areas that you want to be either in the picture or out of the picture.
Well, if you hold down the option key
Okay, hold
on
on.
Mac, that's actually the minus, and then the shift key is the plus. So you can do that either way. So
Okay.
on
I don't
those
think that
larger,
works with the
You just-
lasso though.
yeah,
you could try that. That might be an option. You can try it.
Is what?
The lasso tool, let's, let me get out of this.
Okay.
You know, take
Yeah.
this tool here,
The magnetic.
A magnetic.
magnetic, and then you got all these little knobby things along the edges here, which is going to be tough.
Mhm.
This is just, to me, it's going to be very time consuming, but this is a nice picture, you know. And Tom, would you do each one of these on a different layer?
Yeah, I think so. You know, get them separate. You know, what I might do would be to just make a duplicate layer and take the contrast way up. And that makes these, you know, these edges stand out a little bit better.
To
Okay.
make it
No.
easier.
Yeah,
Good.
you take
That's
the
a good,
contrast way up
That's a
so
good,
that the whites are whiter and the darks are darker. So,
okay.
so then that gives you a little bit more of a defined,
Defined edge.
a line there. Yeah. And then when you're done with it, after you make your selection and save it,
Mhm.
then you just ditch that layer. Just get rid of it. You know. You don't
Okay,
need it.
yep.
Great
But you
idea.
do save your selections, don't you? You know how to
Pardon?
do
No. I don't know how to do that.
I don't need,
Oh, yeah, you make a selection. I save them. You never know when you're gonna need them.
huh,
And so, yeah, you go up to select and then you just scroll down to, it'll say load selection or save selection. You save it. And when you do that, it also makes a channel, which is a nice quick way of doing selections. And yeah, selecting, I've really been getting into selecting. Not color too much, but just the stuff that I've been doing just requires a whole heck of a lot of selecting. So I've been,
Try saving that one that she's got now that's pastel. Go up under the
Well, that's
select.
on a layer right here.
Yeah,
So I can turn that.
just to show them what the commands are.
yeah. You know, and if you save it as a channel, then you can go back in and edit that channel with a brush tool. You know, if you want to change your selection a little bit, you can get in there.
okay,
Yeah.
We need a separate
class.
presentation on that, I think.
Yeah,
That would-
believe
Yes,
me.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the flower.
Thank you.
Here's what I did. I duplicated a layer. Let me go through it right here. I've got the steps. So I opened, selected the subject, made sure I had a duplicate layer, layer versus copy. I filled in the background layer here with white so that I have it isolated now. Opacity
Now, how
two.
do you fill in the, how do you?
Yeah,
fill
how'd
in the
you do
back-
that?
How'd you
Okay,
fill it in?
I had a second background layer here and I just filled it with white, just so I could see what's going on.
Did
Okay,
you, did
could
you
turn-
create that new or you just duplicated your?
well,
back-
first I select, if you take the selection brush, you can just say select subject and it does a pretty good job of selecting the entire flower, which is
Mhm.
pretty easy to do. And that's now on a separate layer. Then I just took another background layer, filled it with white so that I have a white background. And that's the point where I said, whoa, now that effect that was done, let me go back into Bridge. I'm going to open this in RAW so you can see a bigger, but that's just a beautiful effect. And I'm not sure how they accomplished that. Tom, do you have any idea? Is
That's a
anybody-
wet brush.
Have they
That's a wet
selected that?
brush.
Might have done it with a mask, because you can feather your mask. Could have done it in quick mask where you use a brush with a lot of feather on it.
Okay, Tom, you're gonna have
I
to
don't
put
know,
this on
that's-
your, you're gonna
Yeah,
have to put this on your list of things for your next lecture.
Yeah, there's I
that
don't know,
looks
I
like-
just have to get it, you know, there's so darn many different ways of doing things, and boy, it's just like every picture is different. You know, always requires some different technique.
Well, if you've got a white
And a lot of
background,
times it's just, you know, trial and error.
if you've
Yeah.
got a white background, why couldn't you get a large soft brush and then just on the foreground layer, just carefully
Sure,
uh,
yeah, I think that'd
erase
work.
some of the pink?
I tried that and I was trying some different brushes and kind of feathering it and different opacities. It wasn't easy. So however they're doing this, I would like to find out because this really turned out nice. This is a beautiful image.
That upper left pedal looks like that was what was done there. See how the soft that is on the top side of the upper left, or excuse me, the upper right pedal. See how that, yeah.
These are all beautiful the way they're done.
Yeah, it's really, you know, you can see that transition area there, which looks like they used a very soft brush in that area.
You know what this reminds me of, Anne, is Lisa Langel's images are very similar, and she uses a pen and she uses the wet brush, and that pen gives her that sharp point. And
Oh,
she uses, I can't remember, it's a wet brush, and then with the flow and how she she paints those.
Oh, yeah. It
With
puts
a
a
tablet?
taper on it. It has a taper.
okay.
She's probably using a tablet, pressure sensitive tablet.
Yeah,
Does she have
Yeah.
a class on that, Linda?
I would think so, because she does a lot of that kind of stuff.
How do you spell her last name?
I think it's Langell.
Okay, thanks. I'll look her up again
And she
because,
does a lot of this high key.
okay.
Gary, would that flower just have been blurred around the edges? You kept the center sharp and blur everything else?
That's a thought, and I'm sure that's part of it. But the way these things are feathered, and it's almost like they're taking something and pulling it and painting it and stretching it. This might be one of those. What's the distortion?
Liquefied?
Yeah.
Liquefy, yeah.
Yeah, I
that might be-
tried the liquefy. It
Yeah.
didn't work for me.
No,
but-
you know how I made those pieces of grass, Anne? Like I showed you how you can make grass using the, well,
Yeah,
that looks like the technique, but using the pen and someone who knows what they're doing.
so you used a brush to make the grass, I remember.
Well,
Right.
I have a mouse, so you don't, it's a little clumsier.
Okay,
I just saw a photo that was like somewhat similar to that, and they did it with smoke. They
Yeah.
took the photo of the flower, and then they had different photos of smoke
ah,
that they put in and colored, and it was white on white in that situation, but I could see where like this one, the lines are a little bit different, but the smoke on the flower gave a similar effect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
hmm,
Oh.
okay.
Yeah.
Gary, going back, I still didn't, when you said fill in the background with white, how do you fill in the background with white?
Well, if you have a layer, you can just go to fill, and you have the different selections there. One of them is white. The other, you have content aware, black, white, gray. So you can just pick white, and it'll fill out the entire layer with white.
Okay,
Or
thanks.
if you want some subtle color, you can just go in and pick the color and use the paint bucket and fill the empty layer.
Okay,
Is Ron here tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I don't want to, I know we're running short on time. I want to make sure we get everybody in here.
This is Brampton Church. It's in England. It's not far from Highclere Castle where they filmed Downton Abbey. And this is the church that they used for all the church scenes in Downton Abbey.
Mm.
And I thought it was kind of neat inside there.
It's cool.
And this is at Hillsdale at the Slayton Arboretum. Came across this stump that had been cut down a long time ago. And of course it had rotted out in the middle, and it looked like a heart shape to me. So I titled this one Heartwood.
Ah, good eye.
Now I did quite a bit of Photoshop work here and I did this a while back and I can't remember why, but some of the stuff around it was pretty junky. So I used the patch tool, and I'd take pieces of grass or pieces of gravel and I'd move them into place, and then I'd sort of work on those so that they didn't all look the same. So I fixed a lot of this periphery around here. Made it a lot better. It's not an outstanding shot, but I really like the heart shape. This is Kodiak Island. This is downtown Kodiak. I played around with this in color, and also I converted it to black and white because there's a lot of rainy, foggy weather on Kodiak Island. And I thought that the black and white sort of showed that mood a lot better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was just, I just really liked the colors and the architecture on the Parker Webb building downtown. And this was taken from, I think I took this from up on the Z parking garage, the upper deck of that. And of course, you know, the orange and blue are actually opposite sides of the color wheel, but I liked the orange and green. And it was a little bit challenging because in the, oh, you can't see my mouse, can you? I'm trying to point at something. In the upper left there, all that,
Corbels, the
Corbels.
corbels.
yeah, it was very dark, and I had to play around a lot to get some light in there to open up those shadows a little bit. But I just liked the geometry.
Yeah, it's nice.
This is downtown Rochester, and it's a restaurant that wasn't open yet at the time. It was on a Saturday morning, I believe, early. And I took the picture through the glass and played around with it a lot in Photoshop to try to make some sense of it.
The tonal quality of that is really beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
And normally I wouldn't like to see something right in the middle, but somehow this seems to work. I like the separation. The way the
Well, you know,
light.
I played around with the cropping on that, and I would have liked to have had that vertical stanchion, I guess it's called, a little more to the right.
Yeah, right
but-
here.
To do that by cropping, I would have lost that inverted glass that's to the right of it.
I think because you have that horizontal, you've got your 4/4. I think it kind of, and the way the tilt is.
Yeah, thank
Makes
God I had
sense.
the sense at the time to take it at a little bit of an angle. Because if it had
Yeah.
been straight across, I don't think it would have worked nearly as much.
Right.
But you photograph the light, that's beautiful. I mean, the individual pieces really are meaningless. It's just the way the light is coming off of everything here. It's just so beautiful.
Well, thank you. And this was in a street market in London.
I thought that was Gary's camera collection.
This guy was selling all these old cameras.
Now mine's much bigger.
And I thought, first of all, it's really cool. Some of those cameras I remember seeing, and some of them I'd never heard of, like that Zenit. I'd never heard of that one.
I think that's a Russian.
Is it? Okay. But
might-
I sort of viewed this almost as a texture image. Because there's really no main subject, no one main subject. It's just kind of a collection, or almost like a texture.
Did you try it in black and white?
No, I didn't. don't
I was
think
gonna
did
say
anyway.
that too. That'd be a
Yeah,
perfect
but-
black and white.
I'm not sure there's enough contrast in the upper right-hand
Yeah,
quadrant of the different cameras there. I think they might have all blended together in a blob.
I think it would work, Ron.
yeah. You can control the red, you know, the brightness and darkness of the red. And I think that's a big factor, you know, the background. will-
Yeah, I
you can
see.
either lighten it up or darken.
The black and white color mixer.
Yeah, yes.
I think that's what it's called. It may be called
Yes.
something different.
Just try it. It might work, might not. That's an interesting picture though.
Thanks. And I was on top of, this was just a couple of weeks ago. I was on top of a parking structure in Ann Arbor. And I was going to try to see if I could get some nice perspective shots. Well, you can get up there. Well, and some of the upper decks in the parking structures, they still haven't opened them up because they closed them up for the winter because they were icy. They'd get icy. But this one I was able to get all the way to the top. But then there's chain link fence above the wall, way up high. So it didn't work out much. So I was standing there thinking, damn, this was a really good idea, except that I didn't think about the chain link fence. And I looked down and I saw part of that line there and I said, oh, I really like this texture. So it's sort of a very simplistic street photo.
I would, this is a beautiful texture. So I would save this as a texture blend mode that for another picture. You may not have that picture now, but it's someday you're going to look at a picture and you're going to say, wow, I wonder if I take that and blend it with this other picture, it's going to work.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that at all, but that's a great idea.
Chain link fences are a good reason to have a small diameter lens that you can position right over the center.
The camera that I had with me is probably my smallest camera. It's my Fuji X100V.
No, but see if you can get a lens. Sometimes maybe it won't be the greatest of lenses, but just for that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're locked into using a cell phone.
Well, I was going to try and shoot through the open, not squares, they're not really squares, parallelograms of the chain link and shoot through that, but I couldn't do it. So I took another image, which I entered in club this past week, and it bombed. I mean, it was, it reminded me that I have been pretending to be a photographer since 1978. But anyway, what I looked down on the street and I purposely got the chain link in perfect focus and let the street scene go blurry, but not so blurry that you couldn't see what the things were, like a truck and a car and a person and stuff. And the concept was that it was sort of a commentary on the COVID confinement. But the club members, I think if they could have given it, I think if some of those people could have given me a 0, they would have.
Oh,
Because it scored really, really, really low. And yet a friend that I showed it to, he said, I think that's the best image you've ever taken. It was black and white, by the way.
I like this one. I'll save it.
Bob, I swear I thought you were gonna say bring a wire cutters.
No,
Bring a wire cutter, and then you said small lens. I went, oh, okay.
no, I actually, if your lens is even a little bigger than the chain link opening or the fence opening, you'll get a nice blur
Yeah.
around the outer edge.
Like a vignette, yeah.
Yep.
I brought this in because I think there's a lot we can learn. It was probably a week ago, Doug called me, he wanted to go take a ride. And I said, where we're going? And he said, probably up to shoot birds. He says, bring a long lens. I says, that's all we're gonna do. He said, yeah, just bring a long lens, we're gonna be okay. So we ended up driving to St. Clair River and then driving up the St. Clair River to Port Huron. We saw no birds, but we got up there and I should have, if you drive along the river, we got to a point just south of Port Huron.
refinery?
Yeah, the refinery there. And so we're stopping at the little parking spot there and we get out and this beautiful refinery's there. The boat here is the Coast Guard cutter that's parked there. And all I have is a 300 millimeter. So what I started doing, and I had this in my mind as soon as I saw what I wanted to do, but I had absolutely the wrong lens. So what I did is I did 7 verticals to do a panorama to get this thing to go together. And to give you an idea, this is what I was shooting just with one shot. So I needed
my gosh.
7 of these to blend together. So that was not bad because I got a high
Yeah.
resolution picture. I ended up with an 80-inch wide picture with probably 300 megapixels or something like that. But one of the things I did is, and Ann, I said how important it is to get your verticals straight, because when you do this blend mode with difference and you do the blur, the vertical blur, if these things aren't exactly perfectly straight, everything's be going a little bit off and it's never going to work.
Yeah,
So
this is
I
awesome.
did this. Pardon?
I said, this is awesome, this picture.
Well,
It is.
Mm.
It's fantastic.
I hate the colors in this. I got done and I spent so much time on this I actually put in the little lights here at night, you know, and everything. And I got done and I just looked and I just thought, gosh, the color's just so ugly. So I thought I could change it to black and white. And that I was a little happier with the black and white. And, you know, but it was just so much work to get in there and do that. And then I let it sit for a week and I decided, well, I'm going to try it again and maybe just do a kind of sunset kind of a shot where I'm going to, you know, make it look like a long exposure with the water rushing by, you know, do a 30-minute type of exposure of the sky going on. And so the point I'm trying to make is sometimes you just have to kick it in the bucket and say, you know, start over and do something. Well, you know, this isn't bad. I think probably this is, well, maybe not. I don't know. They're both.
They
No,
both
I
have
like that.
something going for them, right? They both
Yeah.
are nice,
I like it
different.
both, but then
And
I
I'm still not
like the color
100%
version
happy
too.
with either one of them, you know, so, but, you know, you do the sky as one layer in the background, and you can use the sky replacement tool just to get a sky, because it does such a great job of masking the foreground. And that's what I needed here, because if you're trying to mask this without using Adobe Sky Replacement, this is just an absolute disaster trying to get
Yeah.
this all done. But the software and the sky replacement is actually going to do the mask for you. And then you can do the blurred sky and bring it in. And I think I did a radial blur with this to get everything going in the direction. And then, you know, started putting in the lights. If I go a little bit closer, you can start seeing some of the little lights and things like that. But so, you know, like Tom does, you know, you can spend 6-8 hours on a picture and it just doesn't fly. And you just say, well, it's close, but no cigar. But it's important to understand the techniques. When I saw the refinery and I saw the boat, I knew in my mind it was going to look like this. And you have the tools, you have the equipment, you understand the technology, and it's just a matter of putting it together and doing it. So you be thinking about these things when you go out, because and take the right lens with you.
Well, and another thing is you'll frequently get caught with the wrong lens, like say at a waterfall with too long a lens. Don't hesitate to handheld vertical or horizontal panos. Be halfway careful, but the stitching software is so good, you can get away with it.
Yeah, you can't imagine something more complicated than all this that's going on in the refinery. And this is 7 shots that were actually done together. So
Pretty
What
nice.
what lens did you use for that?
that was a 300mm full frame Nikon PF lens. And I mean, it's a sharp lens, but it's not made for this. But we made it work. You just have to, you know, when you have lemons, you make lemonade. So
So what do you set an f-stop for this? I'm not familiar with like.
I think I used like an F8. I had I said auto ISO,
Okay.
and but then it's just work after that. You just have to go through and do work. One other thing I wanted to show, I'll make sure, let's see if I've got that.
What do you do?
I gotta let this run.
I'm in
This is a video that I'm going to suggest that everyone watch.
Yo, so it's
If you've not seen this guy before, his name is Faisal Westcott, and he lives, I believe, in New York. And just a young guy, but he has got such great videos, and for his age, to have the photographic mind that he has is just amazing. What he's done is experimenting with motion blur street photography. And one of the photographers he talks about is Ernst Haas, Haas, who was a very prominent color photographer in the 60s and 70s. And he was one of my heroes when I first started photography in the 60s. He and Ansel Adams. Ernst Haas was just great at doing street photography in color. And this guy talks about, let's see, here's a book that he he did. And some of this is just,
He's also one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to my own street photography. But really the reason I'm bringing him up in this video is because he's a master of also using motion blur in his street photography. I finally got this book of his work, New York in Color, and it's basically Ernest Haas's color photography in New York City throughout the 50s.
so the book is available on Amazon, and but please look this up, because I think as far as street photography, if we're going to look for an assignment, I think this would be a real fun assignment to do, is motion blur. And after you see this video, you'll get fired up, because there are just some wonderful things you can do. And I've done this in the past. I've done a lot of it, and it's hit and miss. You have to experiment a little bit, but generally you get a real nice blur at about 1/4 of a second, 1/6 of a second. And that's a good starting point to start experimenting. And he gives you a lot of hints too about how to get going on this. And I also learned that if you're going to do this, turn off your image stabilization. You don't want that going on, or else you get some really nasty artifacts when you're trying to move the camera.
And
and
it takes
doesn't-
practice.
It does take practice.
Kevin and I spent hours down on Woodward Avenue at night, and we got a few good shots.
And some of the things you'll learn, you start kicking yourself, because you say, that is so simple. I should have known that before when you get started. One of the things is when you're panning and there's an object moving in front of you and you want to get that blur, don't pan with it sometimes. Sometimes you got to pan against it, and you get more motion that way. And then when you think about, oh, that's obvious, but only took me about a year to figure that out. So, but watch the video. And now that we can get out a little bit more, and the weather's warmer, it's fun just to go downtown Rochester, downtown Northville, or something like that, and just start looking for colors, bright colors, look for people moving, and just start experimenting. And I think just by watching this video, you'll get enough background where you're going to be real surprised at some of the things you're getting. It's a fun project. Just looking some of the stuff he's doing here. I won't run it for you. You can
Find the perfect song for your video and
I'll let you go ahead and watch that on your own. So if that's his name, Faizal Westcott. All right, Bob, I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay, well, I don't have anything else other than a promise that I'll try and have it on the third Wednesdays going forward.
No problem.
Tom, any comments? I didn't give you enough time to talk tonight.
Oh, I had enough time. Yeah. Any comments? I don't know. Let's see. I guess not.
Have you tried a lot of that motion blur street photography? You do a lot of abstract stuff.
Not lately. I haven't, but yeah, this stuff that I've been working on is taking up a lot of time, and yeah, I'm getting kind of I don't know. I need a little bit of a change. So this, and I was doing a lot of blur photography back a couple of years ago. So, it's just not enough time to do everything. And
Okay.
so, no, I don't think I have any, not much to say. If anybody needs any help with anything,
There are some things tonight that we could probably use you to explain
yeah,
some of those topics. The other thing is, for next time, we can do this again. We can, bring in your pictures or send in your pictures, your questions.
Yeah.
We can do that. If you want to try the blur photography, we can do that.
sure.
If you have suggestions for other things, we can do those as well. So it's up to you guys.
And I'm
Yeah.
recording this session, so I will post it.
I've got a question for the camera geeks. And Gary, you just said something interesting that made me think to turn off the vibration reduction on the lens. But what about the new cameras with the IBIS? So if your camera's doing in body,
You can turn that off.
you can, okay.
Yeah, you really get some really strange, the camera's fighting you because you're
Yeah.
trying to move the camera. And you might even want to try it just to see what kind of effects you get, because you get some really interesting distortions,
It's one of those things you forget to do, but you can't figure out why your pictures are coming out goofy.
right?
Yeah, it makes sense because now I've got the D5, but also the Z7 II, which I don't really like, by the way, but I was wondering, I think that one uses IBIS, so I probably have to go in and shut that off if I was going to do that.
Yeah.
And another trick is to turn off your autofocus, take the picture out of focus, blurred, open it up 1.4 if you have it, or f2, and all these different combinations with movement out of focus, it can really create some interesting abstract pictures. But look for color, look for light. That's the key. Is you don't want to just take a bland, in shadow kind of a subject. You want to look where the light is coming from, find the colors, find the reflections. You'll get some really interesting stuff.
There was a little shot I was going to show you about that perspective on the skyscrapers.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Oh, I gotta get back here. Yeah, this is. I'll make it quick as possible. Share screen. Okay, we'll share that, and we'll go here. Is that sharing?
I love that shot.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's not my shot. I wanted to try something, and I didn't have any shots like that, so I just grabbed that one off of what is it, Pexels, I guess it was. But I got it set up here so that I can show you what you can do with that. I think that's a neat effect. Now it's running off the canvas here a little bit, but you can make the canvas size bigger.
Yep.
But yeah, you can change that, or conversely, like that. And instead of just a regular straight, rectilinear, or what do you say, orthographic skyscrapers, I think you can go like that and go like that to just try and get a little different perspective.
Yeah, you could do the blur first and get the streaking into the sky, and then start doing this.
Sure, yeah. And this is the transform tool over in. So you see how that works a whole lot more than.
Yeah, just add to your canvas before you start doing it.
Yeah, and you can actually, let's see, you can do these, grab those handles, and so a little more interesting than just a straight shot, or you can kind of go, how's that? That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's all I wanted to,
All righty.
yeah.
Well, anything else, or we'll shut her down for this meeting?
Okay. All right,
All right.
I'm done.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
too.
you, you too.
We'll see ya.
You guys.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
Yep, stay
All right, be
safe.
safe.